And just to clarify, the lights become too bright and my eyesight is deteriorating by a minute. It's not a problem. When I adjust my eyes, people will have to bear with me because I guess the cameras need the lighting. On the issues, this is the cabinet statement of the cabinet meeting held on Wednesday, the 18th of September, 2024. And I need to extend my appreciation to my colleague, Minister Marupini Ramukhopa, who held the fort, the previous cabinet briefing when I was on other duties outside of the country. On the issues from the environment, on the economy, we're seeing positive economic indicators, and therefore Cabinet welcomed the positive economic indicators as per the data released by Statistics South Africa. On the 3rd of September 2024, Statistics South Africa announced a 0.4% increase in the gross domestic product, or GDP, in the second quarter of 2024. This increase was influenced by the improvement in the manufacturing sector of 1.7% growth year on year. The improvements in the manufacturing sector were driven by 5 of the 10 manufacturing divisions, namely food and beverages, basic iron and steel, non-ferrous metal products, and machinery sectors that recorded a rise in production. The revival of the manufacturing sector is a critical success factor in the reindustrialization of South Africa. In addition, the headline consumer price index for all urban areas has indicated that annual inflation for August 2024 was at 4.4%, which is down from 4.6% in July 2024. The annual inflation rate of goods was at 4.4%, down from 4.6% in July 2024. And similarly, annual inflation rate for services was at 4.4%, down from 4.7% in July 2024. There has been a consistent improvement in the CPI since March 2024. I think we must also extend our appreciation to the cut on the interest rate by 25 basis points by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Reserve Bank. The decision came after the cabinet meeting, but I'm sure that is welcome relief to all South Africans, and cabinet in its next meeting will also express their appreciation. On the revitalization of state-owned entities or state-owned companies, Cabinet welcomed the steady progress being made in the revitalization of the SOCs, and the improvements in SOC performance will positively contribute to South Africa's industrialization drive. In this regard, it is worth noting that the DINEL posted a profit of 390 million rands before interest and tax for the 2023-2024 financial year, with irregular expenditure declining by a whopping 98%. PRASA is making strong headway in getting passenger trains back on track, with 31 of the 40 rail corridors now operational, and Eskom's recovery plan continues to deliver positive outcomes, with load shedding remaining suspended for more than 175 days as of the 18th of September 2024. On the fight against crime and corruption, under Operation Shanyela, Cabinet welcomed progress being made in the fight against crime through Operation Shanyela, and between 2nd and 8th of September 2024, law enforcement agencies arrested 13,691 suspects for various serious crimes such as murder, rape, possession of illegal firearms, and business robberies. Since its launch in May 2023, Operation Shanyela has resulted in the arrest of 850,375 suspects and a seizure of 824 illegal firearms and over 17,282 rounds of ammunition. In addition, drugs worth 13 million were seized at the OR Tambo International Airport over the last 2 months, and copper worth over 20 million was recovered from a scrapyard near Durban in KwaZulu-Natal, with a suspect arrested. And through a coordinated multidisciplinary and intelligence-led operations, law enforcement agencies are focused on dismantling extortion syndicates, across the country. In the past 2 weeks, 14 extortionists were arrested in various provinces. On restoring integrity of law enforcement officers, through a multidisciplinary collaboration, law enforcement agencies have arrested 14 suspects in Mpumalanga on charges of fraud and corruption for issuing illegal learners and driver's licenses, and 11 traffic officers were also arrested for soliciting bribes from motorists along the N1 freeway in Limpopo. 3 off-duty police officers and a civilian were arrested in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal for soliciting a 100,000 bribe from a businessman in exchange for the release of confiscated goods, and 4 more police officers handed themselves over to the SAPS on the same case. Furthermore, 8 suspects were arrested for alleged involvement on tender fraud and corruption amounting to 850 million rands in the city of Cape Town in Western Cape. On education, Cabinet has called on all qualifying students entering and those already in tertiary education to apply for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme or NEFSA's bursaries and loans when they open. Its online applications will open on Friday, this is today, 20th of September 2024, for the 2025 academic year. To apply, aspiring students should and repeating students should visit my.nsfas.org.za. I'll repeat, my.nsfas.org.za. On the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, Cabinet welcomed the signing of the bill into law by President Ramaphosa, marking a significant step towards transforming and enhancing our basic education system. This landmark legislation requires schools' governing bodies to consider the linguistic needs of the broader community to ensure inclusivity in education. And this will go a long way in making education affordable, more especially in the suburban areas where majority of schools are Africans teaching, whereas the broader community around the school are English speaking. In a move to strengthen early childhood education, the BILA Act makes grade R the new compulsory starting age for school. It also holds parents accountable by criminalizing the failure to ensure their children attend school. And there's no reason for a child not to go to school in South Africa at a basic education level, because education is free. Cabinet further welcomed the decision by the President to allow a 3-month period of engagement on 2 clauses concerning the school's admissions and language as part of ensuring a national consensus and national cohesion. On health, the first is the Mpox disease. To mitigate the spread of Mpox disease, all people in South Africa are encouraged to practice non-pharmaceutical measures. This include regular washing of hands with soap and water or using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Although the risk of widespread Mpox transmission in the country remains low, an additional case of Mpox was confirmed, and thus the number of confirmed cases of Mpox in South Africa has risen up to 25 since the outbreak began in May 2024. Bilharzia breakout in Mopani district of Limpopo. Cabinet was updated on the Bilharzia outbreak in Greater Tzaneen municipality of Mopani district in Limpopo, where 150 people have tested positive for Bilharzia. A provincial task team was established by the Limpopo provincial government, and efforts are underway to contain this waterborne disease, dealing with the outbreak and assessing water quality in the affected areas. Bilharzia is transmitted through contact with contaminated water, and Cabinet urges the public in the surrounding areas to ensure that children do not swim or play in potentially contaminated water, and parents and guardians should immediately take children suspected of contracting the disease to the nearest health facility for treatment. On foot and mouth disease outbreak in the Sarah Baartman district of the Eastern Cape, Cabinet called on all livestock farmers to limit the movement of animals following the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in the Kucha and Kokama municipalities of the Sarabatman district in the Eastern Cape. Animal movements in and out of the affected region continue to be monitored to prevent the spread of the disease to unaffected areas in terms of the disease management area. Cabinet reminded South Africans that the transportation of livestock from one place to another requires a transport permit from a local state veterinary office. On GNU management, Cabinet welcomed the decision by the President to set up a clearinghouse mechanism at a government level on matters that parties within the GNU may be deemed to hold fundamental differences. This mechanism will allow the clarification of issues and common movement forward on matters. On Cabinet decisions, first is the publication of the draft policy direction on the phasing out of 10177, 10111, and 107 emergency numbers for public consultation. Cabinet approved the publication of the draft policy direction on phasing out of the 10177, 10111, and 107 emergency numbers for public consultation. Cabinet noted measures that are put in place for South Africa's transition to a single emergency number short code 112. This will ensure that people under stress do not have to remember multiplicity of numbers when they require emergency services or have their calls routed inadequately. Second is the white paper on the development and promotion of tourism in South Africa. Cabinet approved the white paper on the development of tourism in South Africa for public comments. The policy seeks to increase the contribution of tourism to the broader South African economy through increased volumes of visitors. In 2023, Cabinet approved the publication of the Green Paper on the development of tourism in South Africa, and the comments from affected parties were incorporated into this draft policy. This white paper now provides an agreed policy framework and guidelines for tourism development and promotion in South Africa. This policy will promote entrepreneurship in the tourism sector and ensure the sector's enhanced contribution to employment. Policy proposals also focus on aligning the tourism policy with current government policy frameworks and to enhance the sector's resilience and ability to respond to crisis. The third is the micro, small, and medium enterprise, MSME, and cooperatives funding policy. Cabinet approved the final MSME and cooperatives funding policy for implementation. The policy seeks to eliminate obstacles that prevent micro, small, and medium enterprises and cooperatives from obtaining finance support. This intervention will also enable seamless transition from informal to formal enterprises and from small to medium enterprises. The policy provides for the creation of a funding environment for targeted groups such as youth, women, and persons with disability. This policy forms part of other interventions to support small businesses, including the National Integrated Small Enterprise Development Framework that was approved by Cabinet in 2022. Government has prioritized support for MSMEs and cooperatives because these businesses create the most jobs and provide the most opportunities for people to earn a living. The implementation of the policy will eliminate credit gap in the MSMEs ecosystem and enable economic growth, which is the priority of government. The National Astro-tourism Strategy and Implementation Plan 2023 to 2033. Cabinet approved the publication of the National Astro-tourism Strategy and Implementation Plan for public comments. The strategy aims to position South Africa as a world-class astro-tourism destination, and this will boost economic development and employment in the tourism sector. South Africa is the first African nation to develop a national astro-tourism strategy, and this will boost the country's tourism diversification. The strategy focuses on various pillars, namely infrastructure development, optimizing astronomy tourism streams, public-private partnerships, inclusive tourism, and transformation. South Africa boasts several advantages that make it an ideal Astro-tourism destination. This includes the unpolluted night skies and favorable weather conditions. The Department of Tourism, in collaboration with the Department of Science and Innovation, will launch the National Astro-tourism Strategy at the National Tourism Day celebrations in the Northern Cape on the 27th of September 2024, where the Square Kilometre Array project is located. The Municipal Performance Turnaround Plan. Cabinet received and approved the chairperson, members and expanded terms of reference of the Interministerial Committee on the implementation of the initiatives to address local government underperformance. The overall objective of the IMC is to oversee implementation of various activities to address local government underperformance through various interventions on the following specific areas: professionalization of local government, accountability, oversight and consequence management, governance, political stability and administration, financial management and improved audit outcomes, service delivery and infrastructure maintenance, local economic development and spatial planning, inter- and intra-governmental relations. The IMC will prioritize interventions to the most distressed municipalities. Cabinet further approved that government departments and public entities must urgently settle Cabinet further directed that government departments and public enterprises must urgently settle their debts owed to municipalities, and that National Treasury was assigned the responsibility to ensure that government departments, both national and provincial, and public entities, public enterprises, they settle their debts owed to municipalities. Outstanding municipal debt owed to water boards. Cabinet was briefed on growing and unsustainable municipal debts to water boards, which are now threatening the sustainability of the Vaal Central Water Board, which is owed 9.9 billion rands, and Magalies Water, which is owed 930 million by the end of July 2024, with possibility of bankruptcy of these two boards. The debt owed, these debts that are owed to the boards makes it impossible for the boards to continue to render their duties of ensuring water availability to other municipalities that are also paying for the services. For instance, the debts owed to Magalies Water Board by Disobotla and Makwasi Hills are going to threaten the ability of the entirety of the Northwest Province to have access to water. Therefore, Cabinet has approved that the IMC that is established to deal with local government turnaround must also focus on the payments of services to both the water boards and also to Eskom. The IMC will also prioritize interventions to address municipal debt payments to water boards and to Eskom, particularly those that are facing imminent bankruptcy. On bills, the Traditional Khoisan Leadership Bill of 2024, Cabinet approved the submission of the Traditional Khoisan Leadership Bill of 2024 to Parliament. The bill is a response to the Constitutional Court ruling that declared the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act of 2019, Act Number 3, to be invalid based on insufficient public participation by Parliament. The bill will give Parliament an opportunity to comply with the order of the Constitutional Court. The Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act of 2019 is replaced by the Leadership and Governance Framework Act was replacing the Traditional Leadership and Governance Framework Act of 2003 and provides for the recognition of the Khoisan communities and leaders. Updates to Cabinet. The outcomes of the state visit to China and the participation of in the Forum for China and African Cooperation. Cabinet received a briefing about the outcomes of the FOCAC meeting held in Beijing, China, from the 4th to the 6th of September 2024, and also of the state visit by the President Ramaphosa to President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China from the 2nd to the 4th of September. Cabinet noted the following key outcomes for South Africa: an agreement to change the structure of trade between China and South Africa into a value-added manufactured products. In particular, an agreement reached that for South Africa to provide China with a list of at least 100 value-added products for China to consider importing from South Africa. In addition, South Africa secured cooperation from China on 3 key value chains relating to decarbonization, digitalization, transport and logistics. This cooperation will pave the way to promote investments in the electric vehicles, battery manufacturing, renewable energy storage, as well as identified special economic zones and industrial development zones. Key Chinese investors in both Shenzhen and Beijing expressed interest in either expanding their investments or for greenfield investment in South Africa. The energy solutions company Gauteng is expected to send a high-level delegation to soon conclude plans to invest, and this is just amongst other investments. 6 memoranda of understanding were signed during the South Africa-China Business Forum, and these are aimed at promoting cooperation between Chinese entities and South African companies and development finance institutions. The Chinese companies also made a commitment to attend the next South African investment conference. And in the memoranda of understanding signed, in particular of interest is the memorandum on the foot and mouth disease that allows now the limiting of the ban on the importation or exportation of beef from South Africa if there's an outbreak of foot and mouth disease. For instance, the current outbreak of foot and mouth disease in the Gokama and Gocha local municipalities of the Eastern Cape in Sarah Baartman district will not affect the ability of South Africa to export beef to China from the Free State, from Limpopo, from Northwest and other provinces. But previously, that outbreak would have then prevented the export of beef from this country to China. We are hoping that that MOU that was signed will also pave the way for South Africa to enter in similar MOUs with our key markets on beef, given that beef is part of our largest exports from this country. The second update was on the progress report on the reparation of human remains from Zambia and Zimbabwe from the struggle veterans. Cabinet received an update on the preparations to repatriate the mortal remains of South African freedom fighters and anti-apartheid political leaders who were buried in Zimbabwe and Zambia. Amongst the remains to be repatriated to South Africa are those of struggle stalwarts, Advocate Edu Manyokwe, Mama Florence Mposhosho, and Mr. Basil February, amongst others. The repatriation from Zimbabwe and Zambia forms part of the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route Project, which is a national memory project aimed at commemorating, celebrating, educating, promoting, preserving, conserving, and providing a durable testament of South Africans' road to freedom. The welcoming ceremony, the repatriation ceremony will take place towards the conclusion of the Heritage Month, and the welcoming ceremony will be held on the 28th of September 2024. This year's Heritage Month is convened under the theme celebrating the lives of our heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for freedom. The third update was on the acceleration of the implementation of the land reform. Cabinet received and considered the progress report on the acceleration of the implementation of land reform in the country. The acceleration of land reform programs gives effect to the recommendations of the Presidential Advisory Panel on Land Reform and Agriculture that presented its report and recommendation to Cabinet in 2019. The various land reform acceleration programs continue to be implemented, and the progress was reported to Cabinet as follows. 630,000 hectares of land was transferred through the Transformation of Certain Rural Areas Act of 1998, Act number 94. 659,602 hectares of agricultural state land were released and allocated. By 31st March 2024, 83,205 land claims were settled. Some 2,895,935 hectares of land were acquired at a cost of 26.4 billion rands. Financial compensation of 26 billion was awarded to beneficiaries. Some 2,376,976 households benefited from the restitution program. The Commission on Restitution of Land Rights has planned to finalize 339 land claims in the 2024-2025 financial year. Cabinet also received an update on the planned closure for maintenance of the Lesotho Highlands Tunnel. Cabinet was briefed on the closure of the Lesotho Highlands Water Projects Tunnel for planned maintenance from the 1st of October 2024 to 31st March 2025. This is very important for the residents of Gauteng because this closure will have an impact on the water availability in Gauteng, and therefore we plead to the residents of Gauteng to be very sparing in their use of water and also to avoid unnecessary use of water. The planned maintenance work is crucial to protect the infrastructure for another 20 to 30 years, and failure to undertake this work will risk the transfer of water to the integrated Vaal River system, which provides the water supplied by rainwater to its customers and all municipalities in Gauteng. A thorough analysis to assess the risk to the performance of the integrated Vaal River system, which consists of 14 interconnected dams, was undertaken by the Department of Water and Sanitation. The analysis confirmed that the impact of the tunnel closure on the overall integrated Vaal River system will be minimal, as most dams in the integrated Vaal River systems are currently full. And being currently full, it will mean without additional supply of water to those dams are going to empty. So the residents of Gauteng must seriously use water sparingly. Cabinet noted that existing water supply disruptions in Gauteng and in some Free State municipalities that are not related to the tunnel closure. Cabinet has noted existing water supply disruptions to Gauteng and in some Free State municipalities that are not related to the tunnel closure, and further noted that the Department of Water and Sanitation has supported municipalities to engage stakeholders in relation to the closure of the Lesotho Highlands water tunnels. Cabinet further noted that in Gauteng, due to rapid population growth, lack of infrastructure maintenance, lack of enforcement of bylaws, and delays in the implementation of Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project have contributed immensely to the current water disruptions. However, the completion of the Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project will bring relief in supplemented by water demand management interventions, use of new water-saving technologies, and proper maintenance of infrastructure. However, the Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project is not coming into being now. It's going to come into being only in 2029. Cabinet noted that the Department of Water and Sanitation has held readiness meetings since February 2022 with the Free State municipalities receiving water from the Liebenbergvlei River to mitigate risk of service interruptions during the tunnel maintenance. However, delays by municipalities to upgrade and or refurbish their water infrastructure remains a challenge. Cabinet has noted that the Department of Water and Sanitation will monitor and, where necessary, intervene to support municipalities to ensure there's continuity in water supply. And the fifth update was on the water restrictions in Gauteng. excuse me. So we are on the water restrictions to Gauteng. Cabinet was briefed on the implementation of level 1 water restrictions in Gauteng. This is a result of rainwater reaching its maximum water output on the integrated Vaal River systems. The Department of Water and Sanitation allowed the rainwater to increase its water the drawing from the integrated Vaal River system, but that did not mitigate the situation of water shortages in Gauteng, because in Gauteng, due to the high population that is increasing rapidly due to the infrastructure maintenance, and other factors, and also the overuse of water due to watering gardens, not even food gardens, but watering your flower gardens and lawns. It's affecting the consumption. The consumption of water in Gauteng is exceeding the supply that rainwater will be able to mitigate. But currently, as we speak, the water leaks in Gauteng are averaging 33% across the province, and that is a very high number in comparison of what we are required to do. We are pleading with the residents of Gauteng to minimize water leaks on their part. The Department of Water and Sanitation is working to support the municipalities and the metros in Gauteng to improve their infrastructure, to curb the water losses from the system so that all water can be maximally used for the people. Accordingly to international standards, water leaks should be sitting at 13%, but Gauteng we sit at 33%. There are provinces that are worse. However, the situation in Gauteng is different. Rainwater have confirmed that water leaks from their system is only at 3%, which is way below the international standard. And therefore, the residents of Gauteng and the municipalities of Gauteng must come to the party. They must play their part to make sure that we can manage the water situation. We are soon to launch an extensive campaign to make sure that we save water in Gauteng, working with the Department of Water and Sanitation and also with the rainwater. The Department of Water and Sanitation, Rainwater and Gauteng municipalities are partnering with the World Bank 2020 Water Resource Group to implement mass awareness and communication campaign on using water sparingly in collaboration with civil society and business leaders. On appointments, all appointments are subject to verification of qualification and relevant security clearance. A, Cabinet approved the appointment of Mr. Captain Rufus Lekala as the Cabinet approved the appointment of Captain Rufus Lekala as the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Maritime Safety Authority for 5 years. Mr. Luvuyo Olantoi as the CEO of the Vaal Central Water Board for 5 years. Mr. Gift Zowa as the CEO of the Broadband Infraco for 5 years. Upcoming events, Heritage Day, President Ramaphosa will deliver the keynote address. The President will deliver the keynote address at the country's official Heritage Day celebration on Tuesday, 24th September 2024 at the Makeleni Stadium in Ficksburg in the Free State. It's not the President delivering. It will be I'm sure it will be the Deputy President. The President will be at Unga. The Public Service Month. As we continue to commemorate Public Service Month, government's focus this week recognizes frontline workers who serve our nation with pride and distinction. In the week, we also profile our country's two song service centers, which are facilities to access information and services to the people. And I must indicate we are going to move out of the two song service centers as municipalities are now closest to the people, and as we enable technology for our people to have access to government services. And the people say, what about people in rural areas? People in rural areas must have access to technology. As this government, we set ourselves a target for universal access to the internet by 2030. And when I was in that portfolio, we tried to move it to 2024. And that target must be attained. Deaf Awareness Week. South Africa will join the international community in marking the International Week of Deaf People from the 23rd to the 29th of September 2024 under the theme Sign Up for Sign Language Rights. And in South Africa, sign language is an official language. We have 12 official languages because of sign language. So all of us must make an effort to learn sign language. On the Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa summit, the forthcoming BRICS summit, in preparation for the upcoming BRICS summit from the 22nd to the 24th of October 2024 to be held in Russia, Kazan. South Africa is participating in numerous preparatory meetings to add its voice to key issues and promote common interest in the grouping. International Conference on Theory and Practice of Electronic Governance, the Department of Public Service and Administration, in partnership with the University of Witwatersrand School of Governance, will host the 17th International Conference on Theory and Practice Electronic Governance between the 1st and 4th of October 2024 under the theme Trust and Ethical Governance for the World We Want. On messages, on congratulations, Cabinet extended its congratulations and well wishes to Team South Africa for their outstanding performance at the 2024 Paralympics in Paris by winning 6 medals. Simone Kruger for winning gold in the discus throw F38 at the Paralympic Games. Cyclist Nicolas Peter Deprez for winning bronze in the men's H1 individual time trial at the Paralympic Games in Paris. Donald Rampadi and Lucas Sitole for winning bronze in wheelchair tennis quads doubles at the Paralympic Games. The world champion Springboks for the epic double over New Zealand in the Rugby Championships. The Springboks remain unbeaten in the Rugby Championships and will play Argentina in their next game. South African musician Tyler, who made history by becoming the first South African to win an MTV Video Music Award. And for the international recognition of South African irrigation infrastructure, Cabinet has congratulated the Douglas Weir in the Northern Cape on its recognition as a World Heritage irrigation structure by the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage. This is the first time a South African irrigation structure has received such an award. The 130-year-old Weir is maintained by the Department of Water and Sanitation and forms part of the central infrastructure of the Lower Orange River Vaal User Association, supplying an area of around 81,113 hectares of irrigation land. Cabinet joined President Ramaphosa in congratulating His Excellency President Abdel Majid Tebboune on his re-election as the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. Cabinet looks forward to engaging with the government and the people of Algeria to strengthen bilateral relations. On condolences, Cabinet expressed condolences to the friends and family of Mr. Pravin Gordhan, who stood as a vanguard against state capture and worked tirelessly to preserve the rule of law and governance. Throughout his long career in service of the people, he served in multiple ministerial portfolios and also as a commissioner of the South African Revenue Service. His contributions have been crucial to South Africa's economic development, advocating for transparency, accountability, and combating corruption. He was an anti-apartheid activist who dedicated his life to the liberation of our nation. We send our condolences to the friends and families of Ms. Regina Brooks, the apartheid activist who defied the Immorality Act in the 1950s and was harassed by the apartheid government for living with black people as a white woman. In 1955, she requested to be reclassified as a colored to enable her to live amongst black people. We also extend our condolences to the friends and family of renowned writer, poet, and activist Mr. James Matthews, who was an esteemed member of the National Order of Ikamanga. He received this honor in 2004 for his excellent achievements in literature, contribution to journalism, and his inspirational commitment to the struggle for a non-racial South Africa. Cabinet extends its condolences to the friends and family of Kwaito legend Mr. Sandile Ngwenya, popularly known as Mapaputsi, who contributed immensely to the evolution of the Kwaito music. We send our condolences to the friends and families of actors Darlington Michaels, Silo Motloung, and Paul Lakoff, who, through their work, advanced the local film and entertainment industry. Cabinet also sends its condolences to the friends and family of legendary comedian Mr. Philani Mabanga, popularly known as Mfundisi Nchebe, who kept us laughing and entertained through his fictional comic music. Thank you.